Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is In Truth and in Spirit World of Worship Fellowship. It is Monday, the 23rd, February 2026, the year of our Lord, as religious people would like to call it. Uh, we we always have a Zoom meeting every Monday from 6 to 8. So today we have another one, which is about forgiveness. That's what we'll be talking about. So we thank God. We are a non-denominational fellowship. Everyone is welcome. I would like to welcome those who are on live TikTok, and then those who have joined on the Zoom. It is a Zoom fellowship. So those of you who are on live, like my brother Talking Therapies, that is my elder brother, I think, Moses Chigundu. And Mwesigwa Bosco, long time my brother, and Samson Kasumba is also here. I don't know whether you guys will participate because we are on Zoom. So I have a Zoom team here and a TikTok team here. So it is a blessing to have you around. We will try as much as we can to have that communication together. So we are going to talk about forgiveness and the talking subjects are, first of all, we will seek to define what forgiveness is, what is forgiveness. Then we'll also talk about what forgiveness is not, that is refuting the myths. Then number 3 will also be asking, what is the cost of forgiveness? And is it always worth it? And at the same time, under that section also will be asking, what is the cost of not forgiving in the reverse way? Good. And also we'll be asking the how-to of forgiveness. If I am to forgive, how should I forgive and how should I go about it? Then we will turn now to the Bible or to religious books, the command to forgive, okay? And then finally, we'll be looking at God's model of forgiveness. The questions are chronological, but answering them is not necessarily a chronological issue. You can attempt it from any angle that you feel fit. Well, I'll start with giving you my definitions. Those of you who are on TikTok Live, maybe you'll just send messages. I don't know. I don't know whether you talk, the other group on Zoom can hear you. I'm not sure. Okay. My brother Masereka Joshua, you're welcome. Thank you for the interviews, that side. Aida Nalwega, etc. Thank you so much. Now, well, working definition, a deliberate choice to release the right to punish or hold resentment against someone who has hurt you or offended you is forgiveness. A deliberate choice to release the right to punish, number one, and to hold resentment against someone who has hurt us. Okay, and that can be done not forgetting the offense, not excusing the sin, and not necessarily trusting the person again immediately, and not waiting until we feel like it, but the choice and the intention to release that criminal or that culprit from punishment and resentment. And by resentment, we mean a tweak, I don't want to say change, in your attitude towards that character is what we would define as forgiveness. As forgiveness. It is an act of obedience and reflection of God's character. That's what we would say for those of you who are Christians like myself. So that is what forgiveness is. What would you say forgiveness is for those of you who are here on Zoom? Whom should I start with, or where do you want to start from? Okay? What would you say forgiveness is? Any person? Okay. You want me to call you? Yes, yes, Jet.
Yeah, like you said in your introduction or in your definition,
Mm,
now forgiveness is about a deliberate decision. First of all, it's a decision
mm,
to release the offender.
mm,
Now, that means, of course, there's going to be some kind of offense, either a
mm,
law broken or some moral code broken or some boundary crossed, whatever that
mm,
is.
mm,
So it's a decision.
mm,
It's not necessarily a denial of wrongdoing, like you say,
mm,
but I think what you can probably say, I think again you've alluded to it in your definition. It could be
mm,
illegal, could
mm,
be a legal act, which is maybe canceling debt.
mhm,
It could be even a spiritual issue. You could say, you know what, I've left you to God. God, I
mm,
don't know whether that's actually forgiveness. If you say, you know what, I've left you to God to deal with
mm,
you, I don't know whether that qualifies as forgiveness, but you could say it is spiritual in that sense.
mm,
But also it could be relational, trying to mend a relationship, so you open room for reconciliation and so on and so forth. Okay.
mm, mm.
Forgiveness does not deny that there was a wrong committed. I
Okay.
think that's very important. And
Mm,
ultimately, it means the offended is the one paying the cost, because I think forgiveness has a cost that has to be paid. Like
okay.
I've said, either a legal cost or a moral cost or a spiritual cost or whatever it is. So someone has to pay that cost.
Mm,
In this case, it is the person who's offended who's choosing to bear that cost.
mhm.
Yeah, for me, that's what forgiveness would be. Okay. Now,
Is
forgive and forget does not exist, at least humanly speaking.
okay.
Yeah. And then
So,
forgiveness may not also indicate that now trust is in place. Okay.
mm,
If
mm,
someone took your money, for example, and you
eh,
said I forgive you, does not necessarily mean the trust still exists. It
mm,
just tells you let go of that situation, whatever it is. And then
okay.
forgiveness also doesn't mean there's automatic reconciliation. Or because
Mm,
Isaiah said sorry to me, or because I said I've released him, so
mm,
therefore we have reconciled. I think there's another process that has to happen after that.
mm,
And then most importantly, forgiveness does not remove the consequence
okay.
of whatever happened.
All
I
right.
could forgive you, but you still have to face the consequence. Okay?
Okay. By
Correct?
consequences, do you mean that if you forgive someone who stole from you, you would still let them go to jail and let the law take its course, or you would actually still defend that person from being punished by the legislators because you forgave them?
And now that's quite an interesting question, because depending on the case,
Yes.
some cases the state actually takes over. So, for
Uh-huh.
example, you could have murdered my child, and I forgive
Mm,
you. But then the state has an interest in that case. For me, I could have forgiven you, but then the state says, no, no, no. It's
mm.
actually Isaiah versus the state of Uganda, not Isaiah versus Jethro. So in
So,
that
so
sense, you may face the consequences, and I'm not saying you.
I'll cast an example there, and that's an interesting point that you make. I'll cast an example there. Uh, is Besigye in prison because President Museveni has refused to forgive him, or Besigye is in prison because of the law?
Today is not Thursday.
Ah, no, it is not Thursday. These are just
without
examples, and
without
we're not.
going into the politics. But I would say,
Honorable Abraham Luzi, by the way, is here on this call. But anyway, I wanted,
oh,
yes, I
honorable,
want.
honorable, abantu babinyo, naye tugendeko ndowooza yabasonyiwa since we are talking forgiveness.
I don't know
Anyway,
whether Honorable Luzi forgave the Kampala people, but he forgave the Mitiana people.
though
I
he stole his
yeah,
money.
but for my
So anyway,
example, what would you say?
mm, I would say, because of the context and what I know about the two people you mentioned, I think it's an issue of just forgive.
Okay,
It's not being forgiven. It's not a legal issue.
okay,
Yeah,
fine. So that's all right. So
and
he's there because he's not forgiven.
true.
Yeah. So in other words, the person who is in charge of forgiving the man is. is as guilty.
Is using the law
Okay.
to
If
do
you
gymnastics.
if you don't forgive someone who hurt you, are you are you equally the same then? Is
That's an
unforgiveness,
interesting one.
yes, is unforgiveness equivalent to the harm and the hurt and the damage done? Or those who refuse to forgive are justified and it can be explained. And those who hurt others, it cannot be explained and not acceptable for that matter. We want also to touch that angle. Any other person, please? For those of you who are live on TikTok, please send us a message. We will be reading your comments. We are on Zoom. Every Monday we have a Zoom. Please WhatsApp me. My number is on the bio. I can send you the link of that Zoom so that you join us and you join these discussions. They are basically not religious oriented discussions. They are socially oriented and logical oriented. Yes, someone.
Sebo Musumbanina, I have three questions.
Hey, we already twine ebibuuzo byaffe wano naawe oyina ebibyo.
Yeah, about forgiveness, because I need to understand what it is before I can make any meaningful contribution.
Okay.
What is forgiveness?
Okay, that's question number one. Question number two.
And what is forgiveness? And what is to forgive? What are the benefits of forgiveness to the person who is forgiving and the person who is being forgiven? Thank you.
Okay, we had here a working definition. Jethro, do you want to retaliate to the brother about the working definition at least?
Yeah. For purposes of our this, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
For purposes of our discussion, Tom, we said that forgiveness is a decision, first of all. You decide or you choose to let go of certain, whatever it is, either offenses or revenge or whatever it is. So first of all, forgiveness is a decision to release the person who wronged you. Now, by wronging you, we also mean something was violated, either a moral code, a legal code, spiritual code, or just a boundary. You know, in relationships, you have boundaries. Okay. Something is violated, and then you decide deliberately to not pursue the matter further. That's what I would say is forgiveness.
Okay.
But then what I also said in the beginning is there's a cost to be paid. Forgiveness is actually paying a cost. In this case, the person who's offended is the one who chooses to pay that cost. Though in some cases, of course, forgiving someone, like you've said, may not release them entirely from the consequences of the matter. So sometimes the other person might pay something, but at least from your point of view, you have released them. So forgiveness can be a legal act, it can be a spiritual act. In my introduction, again, I said, if you say I've left this to God, I don't know that you've actually forgiven or you've left God to avenge for you. I don't know if that counts as forgiveness. You guys will advise. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And I think those people who say that I leave this to God have actually not forgiven, but they are afraid to do what they wish to do. They are afraid of God, and so
they want God to do it on their behalf.
They want God to do it on their behalf.
To remove their guilt.
To remove their guilt, and then it will not be them to blame, but it will be God to blame. But good. Number one, if someone hurts me, to whom is it the primary role to forgive? Is it God or me? Because normally we delegate the forgiveness to God, even where we have to.
I think I would say the primary forgiver should be you.
It should be
who
us.
Is offended. Yeah, because what offends us may not necessarily offend God.
I would think I would think a person as well is the person to start the act of forgiving. Then if maybe he or she fails on the way, That's when the power of the Lord can help. Thank you.
Yeah, because it is not God who has been hurt, it is you who has been hurt. Why are you asking God to forgive the person who hurt you and you are excusing yourself from the responsibility? Well then, well, Tom had another question, and the other question was was it how to, or what is to forgive? We have responded to that. Okay, Tom, you want to remind us?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the benefits of forgiveness, I think, is what's left. To
The
both
what?
the forgiver and the forgiven, the benefits.
Oh, the benefit.
What do you reap? What do you get when you forgive?
Oh, okay. I'll give you two. One, you have the freedom. You are not free if you do not forgive. The people that you do not forgive will be a bother to you. Whenever you see them, whenever you hear about them, they will be a bother to you. But when you forgive, you will be released from that whole conundrum of feeling bad about them because you have let them go. Someone has actually said that if you don't forgive someone, you carry them along with you wherever you go. They become your moving wallet. You carry them like you carry a wallet with the men, actually even the women. They become your your handbag. They are an insult to you whenever you meet them. So you're actually not free when you don't forgive. So by forgiving, like Marion said here, you feel relieved from the drama. You feel relieved from the pain and the attitude and and the thoughts of what they did. So by releasing these people from punishment, aka by forgiving them, you're also releasing yourself from the resentment that you have unto them. So that is the first benefit, in case you wanted to know why. Tufunira waabwe tusonyiwa. We release ourselves from that conundrum. And that's why I was asking, before I even give you the second reason, that's why I was asking, the person who hurt you and you who refuse to forgive them, who is guilty and who is not? Because normally we think that the person who hurt me is guilty and I am not. How about unforgiveness? Isn't unforgiveness equivalent to what was done to you? Or I'm just exaggerating? Because that's where I was before I give Ryong the second point. We need to think about this line here.
I would, I would, I would think you're all equally wrong. You who did not forgive and the offender. So, and since we don't measure sin, sin is sin. So I would say the two of you would be wrong. Thank you so much.
So, yes.
Is Gracious saying, therefore, that forgiving is mandatory? One, and then I don't know the working definition that we got here, and your response. There are situations and circumstances whereby somebody has wronged you, and you kind of mute their presence in you, whether they are there or not. They no longer matter to you. They cannot hurt you or please you. Is that forgiveness? The reason I'm asking all these questions is because I think I'm struggling with something that I don't understand. So supposing I have somebody who has hurt me, and then I kind of mute notifications like you can do with your phone, whether you receive a message or not, you don't, the screen does not show. These people don't no longer hurt and they no longer please. Is that forgiveness?
So basically you're asking in Luganda okusonyiwa omuntu n'okumwesonyiwa bye bimu.
Okumwesonyiwa is the kind of knowing and acknowledging he is there, remembering the heart, or maybe remembering the heart and also being oblivious of his heart. But I'm talking about a situation where, whether they are there or not, you deliberately ignore their presence. You deliberately ignore their heart, and they can no longer make you happy. They can no longer hurt you. Is that forgiveness? I don't know whether that is a question. I don't know. I need help.
That is part of okwesonyiwa. It is not forgiveness because you've not faced them head on. You are just avoiding them. Literally, you're asking, what happens if I just avoid him? Eh? Thank you, Marion. I agree with you. It's not forgiving, but avoiding. You are just avoiding them. So avoiding people and forgiving them are two different things. And avoidance is advisable, by the way. In case you are still angry, you are still hurt, you can't control yourself, we advise that you avoid those who have hurt you. Avoid them. But that is a stage in grief and in pain. You are going through a certain stage, and that stage, we advise that you avoid. Okay? It is an initial stage. So please avoid those that will trigger you to do something that you regret later. That is all right. But however, that has nothing to do with your intention and decision to forgive that person or not to forgive them. That's what we're talking about. So some of us have avoided people for so long, those who hurt us for so long, to the extent that avoidance has turned into forgiveness. No, it is not. Have you ever talked about it? Because one of our point of discussions here is how to forgive. How do you forgive? Do you forgive when they ask for forgiveness, or even when they do not ask for forgiveness, you forgive? But if they do not ask for forgiveness, how do you forgive? Or what happens if you forgive someone and they say, no, I do not accept your forgiveness? Because we're dealing with people here.
I would sorry. I would think you'll have done your role if you actually someone wronging you. You don't need them to ask for repentance for you to forgive them, because if you say you have Christ in you, it means you have love in you, and so love. Forgiving being a nature of love, it would mean you actually even forgive those who have not asked for forgiveness from you. And then when they say, we don't need your forgiveness, you will simply walk away politely because you'll have done your role. And then you can simply go and talk to your father in privacy and say, Lord, may you help my brother or sister. May you touch his or her heart so that she or he can receive the forgiveness. I think maybe that's one thing I would do with the little I know. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, Jethro, should we ask for permission to forgive those we need to forgive?
We may not necessarily ask for permission, but they need to know that we're forgiving. I think we need to read the charge sheet like they do in court. Offense X, Y, and Z. But I release you. Otherwise, then, you're wasting your time.
Again, it is important, I guess, here, as you continue, to also train people and give them the capacity to learn how to accept their mistakes. Because sometimes when you read the charge sheet to the guilty party, they will just argue, and then it will turn into a scuffle. Then eventually what started as a forgiveness meeting, it turns into an argument, and forgiveness collapses at that point. What happens if the criminal does not accept the crimes? Because in court, the denial is the order of the day. So
the denial does not take away the charge sheet or even the offenses. So reading the charges to you and you say I didn't commit it doesn't absolve you of the issue. So even in this case, I can read for you the charge sheet. You choose to say no, but at least you're aware. You may not accept, but you're aware. Because also, what does it help if you forgive someone who doesn't even know that they committed an offense against you?
Okay.
Yeah, because if someone does something and they don't even know that they did it, or at least you took it that way, then you're wasting your time to forgive them. Maybe you're just avoiding, but not really forgiving. So I think you need to read the charge sheet, and then someone either accepts or denies, like it is done in court, and then you say, if you have denied, this is how I felt, or this is what you made me feel, or this is what you made me lose, or whatever it is, and then, but I released you. I think that's power.
And sometimes when we are reading that charge sheet to the people who hurt us in the process of forgiveness, we should have that preamble that says whether you agree or not these crimes, I am just here to tell you how I feel about you and how I perceived the entire situation.
Exactly.
At least that, yes, so that that individual understands that you are not here to pin them, but you are here to tell them how you feel about them. Is that all right?
Actually, you're here to tell them how important they are to you, because ideally, if you don't need them, you wouldn't get reading the charge.
Powerful.
Yeah,
Powerful.
so in a way, you're actually mending the relationship. It's a
Powerful.
difficult thing to do, by the way. Forgiveness, we are talking about it as if it's a very easy thing. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's
It's really
not.
not. And I think that brings up the second point that I wanted to give to Arion. Because yes, what are the benefits that you get from forgiveness? One, we have told him that you heal, you yourself, you the forgiver, you heal when you forgive, you heal. And then the other point that you have just actually raised is that the importance of and the value that you attribute to the relationship that you have with that person. In other words, forgiveness is telling the culprit that you do not want to lose them, even with their crimes at hand and the damages they caused.
Exactly.
You still want them, you still love them, you still like them, you still want to walk with them and work with them. That is why you are giving them forgiveness. So
Exactly.
in other words, when you don't forgive someone, you are telling them that you do not need them. You can live without them.
Exactly. So you can avoid them, like Ariom said. Yeah.
That's why you
Avoid
avoid.
you don't exist in my mind. I don't think about you. So I don't need you. Question you are.
Wow.
Mm.
Who is easier to forgive? A relative, a friend? Between a friend and a relative, who is easier to forgive? One. Two, between someone you expect something from and the other you do not. Who is easier to forgive?
Obviously, the one you expect something from is easier to forgive.
Would that be forgiveness or taking advantage?
Now that's a good question. You know, they say I
And
do
then,
forgive. It might actually just be burying things. Oh, I need this guy. Let me keep quiet. Let us proceed.
Why do women forgive men adultery and men do not forgive women at the same sin?
Because on the charge sheet,
Yes.
for men it is crime number one. For the women may not be crime number one.
What do you mean by crime number one?
They are here. They can speak for themselves. As in the importance attached to the crime. They are here. Let them speak.
And I think that's a very
well,
important
before
perspective.
they
Yes.
speak, I can also speak a little.
Mm.
I would think it is hard for a man to forgive a woman in adultery because we discussed before under your guidance and wisdom that men have the ability to love. It's part of what was put in them by God Almighty. And then women have the ability to submit or obey so they can evoke the love in the men. So since men have that seed, which I can call love, and we all know that true love is jealousy. Hence the description of our Lord Almighty, who says, "Do not worship any other God before me." so we know he's a jealousy God, not because he's jealousy in a human way, but because it is his nature. So I would think some men who really have the love, it goes with the characteristics which are attributed and are part of love, which is one of them being jealousy. So if a man has no jealousy for that woman, then that man actually doesn't love that woman. I would think so.
So in other words,
Thank you.
if a man forgave adultery, then that man does not love that woman.
Yeah, I would think in which way
like
a man is forgiving, because he can actually call the way we have talked about. He can call the woman and say, "My dear love, my darling, you've hurt me so much. I feel so broken. But kindly, of all things on earth, this is the worst you can do to me. I would kindly ask you not to repeat it. I forgive you because I love you." I would think that way.
Thank you, Gracious. Thank you, Gracious.
Yeah.
Aryong?
Hello.
Yes. Between the people who work in your factory and your children, who is easier to forgive?
I I I I don't know whether it is humanly possible to forgive, because one time I think it is you who was teaching us and you said when God forgives us, he 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 deliberately forgets the hurt, the wrong we did to him. Like take for instance, if one of my workers stole materials from the factory here, and I am to forgive them, I will forgive them and still trust them with the very material they stole. That is God's forgiveness. Now, how possible is that with me, a person? Because at least I've heard here where people want to call or question your forgiveness, where somebody has stolen material, but you forgive them, you don't take them to police, you erase that, but then you don't trust them with material again because they have the ability to steal the material again. Now, when you ask between my workers and my children, what is easier for me, which side is easier for me to forgive? I will say, which side is easier for me to tolerate, not to forgive, until I really understand what forgiveness is. It is easier for me to tolerate my child because of the bond we have with them. It is a little difficult for me to tolerate a worker until I know the benefits of his stay at my factory. Thank you.
You're basically saying that forgiveness is tolerance.
No, I am not saying so. I am saying that I am struggling to really understand what forgiveness is. But as of now,
we gave you a definition.
The definition does not sit well in me, given God's way of forgiving and our way of forgiving.
You leave God alone. You leave God alone. You. Let's talk about us. You.
Yeah. Then I think with me, I would rather go with letting things pass and tolerate somebody. I'm hesitant to use the word forgiveness.
So why? Because you don't seem to have a definition.
Besides the definition that I've been given, I am struggling to even understand it.
Yeah, let's try it again with you, because you might not be
Okay.
alone. You might be representing others. Our working definition of forgiveness. Okay, it is the deliberate, and by deliberate we mean the intentional. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is the intentional. Okay, that's our definition. That's how our definition goes. It is the intentional release. Okay, or releasing of someone okay, who has hurt you, from the punishment and the resentment that you have against them. So you have forgiven them because you have not punished them for what they have done, all right? And you no longer have that kind of resentment to them. At that point, we say that forgiveness has been launched.
Just there.
Uh-huh.
A neighbor has stolen my cow,
Uh-huh.
slaughtered it and eaten the meat.
Uh-huh.
I have gone to police because I didn't know who stole the cow.
Okay.
Now the police investigate and point to the neighbor.
Yes.
The neighbor confesses upon being taken to court that
Okay.
he stole my cow.
All right.
What does forgiveness demand of me? To be a witness of the state or not to be a witness of the state? Remember, this neighbor of mine is confessing to have stolen the cow because he thinks when I forgive him, he will not be taken for Luzira. But he's not denouncing theft. Now, I am torn between two positions. Going to court, acting as a state witness, this man, who we are not sure has given up with theft, should go to prison, and for a period of time, we don't have a thief in the community. Maybe he could come back a change demand. The other position is I go and say I have lost interest in being a witness before this man because I have forgiven him, but the man has not denounced theft, and a thief comes back from court to steal again. Now, help me there. I hope you have understood me.
You are too focused on the culprit. Forgiveness is your business. Yours is to forgive. You forgive the man, drop the charges. You have forgiven him, and then reconcile with him, then reconstruct the relationship again. That is, you have dropped the resentment and the attitude. So whether he has stopped stealing or not, you have forgiven him of the theft of your cow. How about that?
Now, okay, fine. That is understood. But this is now about me still. I still have cows in my compound. Do I need to build a fence and enclose my cows in a crowd because there is a thief nearby? Or I should trust him because I forgave him? He's no longer a thief? What should I do?
Now you're asking about the aftermath.
If I build a fence around my kraal, meaning I still remember and acting preventively before this man, because he could still come and steal me, and he will want another dose of forgiveness. Have you understood me, Sebo?
I have a young. You are taking us places. First of all, we need you to accept our definition or give us yours. Our definition is that forgiveness, okay, is a deliberate release of the right to punish someone who has hurt you, okay, and then also getting rid of the resentment, aka the attitude that you have towards him, having that kind of reconciliation, all right? And now, how you relate after forgiveness is what you are talking about. But you're not talking about the definition. At least accept that that is what forgiveness is. It is a deliberate or intentional decision that you make, that I'm going to release this person. I am going to read the charge sheet to that person, let him know what they did to me, and tell them how I felt and how I've been feeling, and then tell them that from this point on, I am done. I have forgiven you. I am all right with you. You hold hands or you hug, and then you start a new chapter. However, you are now discussing the myths of forgiveness. For example, forgiveness does not mean forgetting.
Oh, now,
Now
your definition
that
has
is myth number
has
one.
your definition has marks of a
Yes.
question you are, but we can go ahead.
Well, that is if you understood it like that. Then myth number two, forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciliation.
Okay, that's interesting now.
Yes, just because I forgave you, all right, does not mean that we are going to work on the same terms. Why? Because I have evaluated that this was not a mistake, but this was part of your character, and you're not about to change. So you do not forgive a snake and sleep with it in bed or actually step on it. You forgive it, do not kill it or hit it on the head, okay? And then you avoid it. Why? Because what it did was from its nature. So that is myth number two. Okay? Myth number three is saying that what they did was okay. I understand you were under pressure, and I'm forgiving you because you were under pressure. It is not true that whoever is under pressure does what they did. So in other words, this is excusing the culprit from holding them accountable of what they did. So forgiveness is not an excuse of holding the person responsible for what they did. In other words, as we forgive someone, we must hold them accountable for what they did. And I think that's where Jethro was telling us that just because they forgave you, that does not necessarily mean that it will take away the consequences of what you did. But that is the aftermath. And that is the process of forgiveness. But we should emphasize the importance of forgiving. Okay? Interesting. Brenda Nancha, the iTiS Nabagereka. It's good to see you here. I hope you can hear us. Sandra, you are too silent. Ruth Rules is a listening post. Okay. The husband wouldn't forgive her if she talked on this call. That is understandable. You can even see the husband is struggling with forgiving. Gracious, your hand is up.
Oh yes, my senior. You had asked a question.
Yes.
Obadde obuuza ekibuuzo omukulu munnange about is it forgive relatives than friends? So I wanted to give my view. Yes, I wanted to give my view. Me, I would actually think it is easy to forgive a friend or even a stranger than someone who is close to you, like a relative. And my reason would be it's because of the expectations in this person who has been so close to you. And since expectations move with the trust, I would think broken trust is more painful than broken trust-like situation, because the other people who are your friends could be having something like trust. But then when you're growing up, you trust the relatives much more than the other friends. I think after maybe growing spiritually or gaining some spiritual maturity, that's when you can actually realize that someone that you've never met before could be deserving more trust from you more than your earthly father.
Okay.
In short, I can find myself in a position trusting my senior, Priest Isaiah, more than my earthly father or my mother. Why? That will be according to the discernment which is by the Holy Spirit as the Spirit grows. That would be my submission. Thank you, sir. I await for correction.
So basically, Gracious is saying that the magnitude of betrayal will actually determine the, the forgiveness, how easy it is to forgive. How easy is it to forgive a relative who betrayed you? How easy is it? First of all, and I need to bring back Jethro here because Jethro had made a very uh, uh, strong statement here that as we talk about forgiveness, we need to remind ourselves every time and then that forgiveness is not an easy thing. And I think we need to talk about that. Yes, Jet.
Yes, yes. Forgiveness is not easy, like we've established.
Mm,
In fact, in as much as it's a decision, it's not an easy decision. But
mm,
even when the decision is made, that's the easy part. But the healing, the actual healing from that is a process,
mm,
which may take lifetime even. So you might go through your entire life without necessarily healing completely from that issue.
mm,
So which obviously means,
mm,
as we hurt others, at least intentionally, sometimes we hurt them. But if we are
mm,
doing it intentionally, we need to be mindful of this, that sometimes they may never completely heal from our heart.
mm.
Which is funny because sometimes also people hurt each other for that same reason. Kamukole ekintu ky'ataliirabira, he had
Nga
that statement.
kyeyankola.
Kamukole so now it's funny that it's a double-edged sword.
Mm,
Because we know that this healing from this will take a lifetime. For example, if someone pours acid,
mm,
a housewife finds her husband with a small girl somewhere, and then she pours acid,
mm,
and then disfigures her face. Maybe she loses an eye or a skin or anything. I
mm,
mean, that's a that's a thing of kamukole ikintu ky'akyerere. So I think I just want to say that as much as forgiveness is a decision, healing from it is a process.
mm,
And then obviously how to proceed from there. To go a little bit back to Tom, we need to establish some boundaries. Okay,
mm,
depending on what the issue is. If the
mm,
issue is, for example, about money, so you know
mm,
what, my brother or you're my sister, but when it comes to money, for example, I'll
mm,
not be allowing you to have this much money or access to this much money. Or you've been the single signature on the account, but now
mm,
I'm also going to become a signatory to that same account.
mm,
Kind of establishing boundaries. If it is a case of infidelity, for example, we have
mm,
already said here that, at least for the men, you cannot be friends with your type.
mm,
So if your husband or your boyfriend is friends with a certain type of girl and you know that is
mm,
his type, then the boundary would be to just stop being friends with, or don't be in the same space, or don't be in a
mm,
secluded space with them. So forgiveness is just the beginning, let me just say. But then there's
mm.
another process that starts, including setting boundaries, setting expectations, and
And
sometimes
and
it actually leaves scars.
and that the stage one is forgiveness. Uh,
Mm,
and what we mean by that stage one is that approach that individual who hurt you, read the charge sheet to them, tell them what they did, how you felt, and then tell them that you have forgiven what they did and you have forgiven them as well. Okay?
exactly.
Then stage two is what now we would call the relationship from that point. How are you going to relate with them, and how are you going to relate with yourself? And I think this is very important also to understand because in most cases we fail to remember our contribution in being hurt by others,
Our contribution.
in being hurt by others.
Can you expound on that?
For example, you overtrusted a human being. Because you see,
Human.
yes,
Mm.
we should stop playing the extreme victims when we are hurt. Sometimes when
Okay.
someone hurts you, you need to sit alone and ask, but wait a minute. How did I facilitate this damage?
What is my contribution to this problem?
What is my contribution to this problem? Well, I have to forgive this. Now I have to deal with forgiveness because we have already established forgiveness is a difficult thing. But how did you get yourself to doing the most difficult thing in our sociology, which is forgiveness? It is important for us to think about that. Why? Why? Because before you forgive others, you need to forgive yourself. True?
True.
Well, while you're reading the charge sheet to the culprit and to the criminal, you need also to have your personal charge sheet. Because, my brothers and sisters, it is difficult to have a case where one is 100% innocent. There's nothing like that. I doubt. Two adults in a conflict, and one of them is 100% innocent. And there are no even sins of omission. Because the sins of commission are very clear. Isaiah did this. True?
True.
Then what about Jethro, who was hurt by Isaiah?
What did he do or what didn't he do?
What didn't he do? Because already Isaiah did.
Oh, Isaiah did so.
So what didn't Jethro do that he ought to have done? So this is why when we are teaching forgiveness, we tell people, first of all, you need to forgive yourself. To start with, you really need to forgive yourself. Okay? And when you forgive yourself, then now you have the ability to forgive others. I think the command of loving in the New Testament is one and the same with the command of love. Because when Christ commands us to love one another, he gives us the reference point of loving the other person. And the reference point is, as you love yourself. In other words, you cannot love anyone if you do not love yourself. The justification for loving another person is the match that you love yourself with. So how are you going to give others what you've not given yourself, aka forgiveness? In other words, unforgiveness to others is a demonstration of how you have not forgiven yourself. That is why you're still hanging on. That is the command to forgive. Let's talk about experiences. Does anyone on this call have someone they have not forgiven? I have my cousin that I have not forgiven.
Even me.
Even you.
Sandra typed in the chat.
We
Can
are
you
two.
repeat what you typed in the chat, Sandra?
I missed what she typed in the chat. We are now two on this call. Those of you who are on TikTok Live, do you have someone you have not forgiven? Please send us a message or WhatsApp us on that number on the bio. Follow that account, text me, then we can always share and share with you the link of this Zoom call, and then you come and participate here. Well, I have a cousin whom I have not forgiven. I feel like he betrayed me. I loved him so much, his family 100%, and he disclosed something to someone who was not us about me. I have not forgiven that person. And I want to forgive him, but I want him to talk to me. So what should I do? Should I go there first or I wait for him? Now we've gone into practical.
It will depend. You can be annoyed about whatever happened, but when he's not aware that he really annoyed you, and
now
therefore needs
for this case, he's aware. For this case, he's aware. that he annoyed me. He's silent. I'm also silent. So who should
Then
go
one
first?
of you has to break the ego.
And who
And
is that? Who is that? The heart,
one
the heart, or the criminal?
the one hurt, so that you can have your heart relieved.
So I'm the one who is hurt should go first. Should approach.
Yes, Sister Isaiah, I would support my sister that actually the one who was hurt should go first. And the reason is simple. It's because the one who was hurt, to me, according to discernment, I see has much more wisdom than the one who hurt him. So since the one who hurt has less wisdom, I would kindly, anticipate that the priest Isaiah, because of the wisdom that I've seen, will actually eventually fetch that very offender. Because
Okay.
I don't think that. Thank you.
What this meeting is saying that those who are going to give forgiveness should initiate
Yeah,
the giving of that forgiveness.
exactly.
And those who are guilty, it is not their business to seek forgiveness.
Yes, true that.
What did Sandra type in the chat, Jethro?
She typed, okay, I think when we're talking about letting the people know that they wrong, she said it's true because the people have avoided because I haven't forgiven them since they didn't acknowledge that they wronged me. So for her, forgiveness is the person acknowledging that they wronged her.
But
Then the one she has forgiven, go on.
Shouldn't a person who has hurt another come to that person seeking for forgiveness? Why are they adamant?
And that is if they understand that they've actually wronged you. But if they fail to understand that they have wronged you, they will not seek for forgiveness. Now, for my case, I even approached the lady because I wanted us to talk about it and get over it. And she was very arrogant. In the end, she told me, Oja kuba bulungi. So I'm like, hey, okay. And I have my peace of mind.
But okay, but did you forgive them? Julie Talks
Now,
United.
how do you forgive someone who hasn't acknowledged that they actually need to be forgiven? Because for you to start forgiving someone, they have to acknowledge that, oh, it's true, I have wronged you. Therefore, I am sorry, forgive me. But we didn't reach there.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. How do we shove forgiveness into the throats of those who are not interested? Okay. Brenda says, I am present and I can hear you. It's only my network. Okay, that's okay, Brenda. It's good to hear from you there. Well, Gracia, switch off. My question is, should we force forgiveness to those who do not want it?
Me, I do not.
Naye kakati tukole tutya omuntu ayagala kumusonyiwa omubulina ebintu byakola agamba ojja kuba bulungi ebyo tebinkwatako saagala kumanya. What do I do from that point?
But again, Musumba. Singa obadde otambula ku kkubo enkuba nga yatonye ng'oyambadde engoye enjeru ente n'ekukuba ebisooto eyo keesi emu.
Ente yennyini oba omuntu gw'oyise ente?
Ente nte
yennyini
gwe kennyini keesi emu. Keesi ey'okubiri enkuba yatonye n'osanga mutabani wange ow'emyaka 2 oba omwaka ogumu n'ekitundu n'akusamulira ebitosi maada, eyo keesi yakubiri. Ey'okusatu n'osanga nze nenkola ekintu kyekimu omwana kyakoze, gw'osalawo ani gw'onyiigira, si bwe kiri? kubanga omwana osalawo n'ogamba nti ono mwana muto, ente osalawo n'ogamba nze nagirumbye, then omuntu omukulu oba osuubira nti ono omusajja mukulu mugezi yalibadde kino akiraba. Now before we can say nti omuntu teyasabye kumusonyiwa era yagaanye okusonyiyibwa, yagambye nti tonnaba, weebuuze ayinza okuba ng'alinga nte nga byakola kwegamba tavunaanyizibwa nnyo kiri awo, gwe ng'oddira oyo ng'onyiigira oyo era ng'onoonya kusonyiwa oyo.
Kati ekyo kyogambye mu kkooti kye bayita pleading insanity, nti omuntu bw'akola ekikolobero n'agenda mu kkooti n'agamba nti ndi mulalu, bakebera ne balaba oba mulalu. Bwe balaba nga mulalu bamujja bujja mu bantu ne bamutwala mu ddwaliro ly'e Butabika. Kaakati aliyo ng'abuuza Jethro, omuntu bw'aba tategeera tumusomere kyagishiiti?
Mu mateeka tebasomera mulalu kyagishiiti.
Naye kakati omuntu bw'asalawo okweralusa atulumye nga ataafuuke mulalu.
Oyo eyeefuula omulalu tumusomera kyagishiiti.
Okay.
Wakiri n'agigaana bugaanyi.
Nze ndowooza abalalu mu sosaate yaffe ne mu famire zaffe tubasomere kyagishiiti, kubanga ffe tetulina byuma bikebeera ddalu. Number one. Number two, waliwo n'abatalina busobozi okutegeera nti abantu amu tebategeera. Ekyokulabirako, mu nsonyiwe famire zammwe sizimanyi, naye mu famire zammwe mulimu abantu abalwadde ddala, naye olw'okuba nga temulina busobozi.
Tumulina
olw'okuba nga temulina busobozi butegeera nti omuntu ono mulwadde, tuli ffenna kati mubeera mu famire nga mulwana n'abalwadde. Abamu ku balwadde abo bamaama bammwe, bataata bammwe, baganda bammwe. Kakati wanyiigira omulwadde era
oli mu kwerumya, you are hurting yourself naye okunyiigira omulwadde.
Bw'oyomba n'omulalu nawe oba kuyita omulalu.
Oba mulamu ye.
Okay, kati ebibuuzo nabyo bikulu nnyo ebyo. Abantu be tulowoozamu n'abaatulumya be twagaana okusonyiwa, ekibuuzo kyo twali tukibuuzizza bo balamu abaatulumya. Kuba gwe for example omuntu approachinze munne n'amugamba nti njagatereza ebintu ng'omuwala wange bw'agambye wano, omukazi oba musajja simanyi oba yali mukazi oba yali musajja, n'amugamba ojja kuba bulungi. Either that person is evil oba that person is sick. Kati kambuze ekibuuzo, abalwadde tubasonyiwa oba tubaavoidinga?
Abalwadde tebatunyiiza, ababeera balwadde.
Sandra, your hand is up.
Well, kati nze era kandete that same example. Initially, obusungu bwaliwo actually. Obusungu bwaliwo for some time, but later on, ne mujja mu birowoozo byange and obusungu ne bugenda, but it doesn't mean it actually kye yankola nakyerabira oba namusonyiwa. So omuntu for example kati ng'oyo omutuukiridde omugambye nti onkosezza munnange, naye agamba nze sirina kyenkoze, ojja kuba bulungi. Of course ogenda mutunuulira ogambe probably, omanyi abakazi tubeera n'ebizibu byaffe. Ayinza okuba ali awo nga single mother ng'alina ebizibu bye, oba nga yasuze omusajja oba yamukyankalanyiza kati alese frustrations ze. Like you look for reasons to justify their actions and you move on with life. N'omwesonyiwa.
Exactly. So nga tulwanagana ekigambo kino ekyokusonyiwa, abantu abamu abatusobya balwadde, abalala batusobya of course balalu, abalala batusobya babi, abalala batusobya bantu balamu, era bakyayagala relationship naffe. So kye tuli mu kuzimba wano kigamba nti omuntu bw'akusobya nga tonaana kumutuukira kumusomera charge sheet, okumusomera olukala lw'ebintu bye yakola, olumu weetaaga osookoddeko ebbali, nga bwe twagambye nti sookoddeko ebbali gwe weekebere nga gwe kennyini, otyo olabe bwe sisonyiwa muntu ono nfunamu ki, bwe musonyiwa nfunamu ki, kubanga ebyo bikulu nnyo ebyo. Tyo kakati bw'omala okwekebera nga ggwe n'olaba w'ofunira, naye nga w'ofunira awo tewavudde mu kwegombako, tewavudde mu malala go, wabula wavudde mu mazima. Obutasonyiwa ddala abantu babufunamu ki? Nti oli bwatta omwana wo naawe n'ogenda n'otta owuwe, ddala ofunamu ki? Njagala kubawa example. Mu Rwanda wano awaali ekitta abantu ab'eggwanga erimu abattiŋŋana nga basinziira ku buwanvu bwa nnyindo n'obuwanvu bw'amagumba ne battiŋŋana okukamala. Waliwo ebintu bibiri ebyabeera e Rwanda bye njagala okubanyumiza. Ekisooka kyali kya gavumenti, ekirala kyali kya muntu mukyala eyali neiba w'omunne. Neiba n'ajja nga batandise okutemaatema abantu, abaana ba neiba ne neiba abawangadde awamu okumala emyaka 4 nga babadde wamu. Abaana bazaalibwa benkana, bazannye bonna, basomedde mu ssomero lyerimu. Neiba n'abaana be ne balumba famire eno, ne batema taata w'amaka gano, ne batemaatema abaana bannaabwe, ne babatta. Omukazi n'awolera watono n'abula. Oluvannyuma nga gavumenti ekyuse, omusajja omukazi ono eyawona n'akomawo ku kyalo. Oli omusajja naye abaana be abasinga baabatta mu lutalo, bano abatta aboono waali, naye waasigalawo abaana abamu kubatta aboono omukazi omutuusi. Kati abaana abo ne bajja ku kyalo nga babayigga baagala okubakwata, okuyita mu sisitimu ya gacaca. Kati gacaca gye njagala okubanyumiza. Kati ekyokubiri kyekya gavumenti kye yakola. Gavumenti yateekawo ekintu bakiyita gacaca, kooti. Kooti ez'oku kyalo. Ku kyalo kuno kwe kuliko abantu abatta bannaabwe. Abamu ku bo gavumenti yabakwata, abalala buttibwa. Omukazi ono omutuusi n'ajja mu gacaca n'alaba bali abalenzi abatta abaana be ne bbaawe, n'agamba nti bano mbawaako obujulizi batta abantu, naye mu be batta mwalimu abaana bange. Abaana bano nawangaala nabo ne kitaabwe, famire zawangaala wamu. Bano abaana olw'okubanga batta abaana, sikyalina baana ate sikyasobola na kuzaala, bano bonze mbasonyiye, naye njagala banfuukire abaana mbeere nabo okuva kaakati, kubanga abandi badde abaana baabatta, kati ate nabo baali baana bange. Bano bo mbasonyiye era nsaba munzikirize nze bano mbeere nabo, era nga bwe twali ku muliraano babeerewo. Omukazi ono n'atwala abaana bali, of course baali basajja, kati bamubeerera abaana. Kati first of all, gavumenti yatandikawo kooti zino eza gacaca ng'eyagala wabeewo okusonyiwagana n'okutabagana. Kati nga bw'ogenda mu kooti ya gacaca osangayo omuntu eyatta omwana wo, osangayo omuntu eyatta mukazi wo, osangayo omuntu eyatta kitaawo, osangayo omuntu eyatta maama wo. Omuntu oyo nga gavumenti egamba nti bwe mukkiriza ne musonyiwa, tugenda kumukkiriza akomewo abeere mu nnyumba ye, afuuke munnakyalo era naye afuuke munnalwanda oba munnansi. Kati njagala kubabuuza bannange abali ku gundi wano mweno fellowship, abali ku Zoom n'abali ku live, gwe bw'ogenda mu gacaca n'osangayo omuntu eyatta omwana wo, eyatta mukazi wo, omuwanikira omukono adde ku kyalo oba omuwanikira mukono adde mu kkomera agende kalabu. Gwono omukazi atwala abaana bano abatta abaana be ne bba, ekyo kyali mu kukola kya busiru oba ali mu kusonyiwa?
Sebo Musumba,
Wangi ssebo,
nsonyiwa okuyinterruptinga nga bwe kisoboka okuba nga waliwo omuntu asobezza nga ye mulwadde, tekisoboka kuba nga waliwo gwe basobezza nga naye mulwadde. Therefore ebikolwa bino kwerabira, kusonyiwa, kwesonyiwa nga mulwadde yabikola.
kisoboka okuba nga ono omukazi yali mulwadde, kwe kusonyiwa omuntu afaana bw'atyo era abeere naye. Kisoboka okuba nga abantu amu basonyiwa kubanga basiru, n'olwekyo okusonyiwa kya busiru, kubanga munda muffe mu mitima gyaffe nga tewali atulaba nga ffe tweraba, tumanyidde ddala nti okusonyiwa omuntu kya busiru. Ekyamagezi kwe kuwa omuntu ekimugwanira, omuntu awulire nga bwe twawulira. Ekyo kye kiri mu mitima gyaffe, ffenna tukimanyi. Wabula tutera okubuuza abantu abagaanidde okusonyiwa nga bagaanye okuwa abalala, nga tubuuza ekibuuzo: singa obadde mu kifo ky'oli, wandiyagadde kusonyiyibwa oba wandiyagadde kye watuusa ku banno kikutuukeko? Emirundi egisinga abantu bandiyagadde kusonyiyibwa nga bali kweri sayidi, naye babeera kweno sayidi egaba okusonyiwa. Bawulira muli mu mitima gyabwe nga kye baabatuusaako kyennyini kye kiba kituuka ne ku bali. Yanzigyamu liiso naye bamuggyemu eriiso. Kye baabatuusaako kyennyini kye kiba kimutuukako. Kaakati oluusi lutandika okugamba nti oluusi ne bano abantu abasonyiwa oluusi babeera balwadde, bazonto, oli musiru, ekyo bakisonyiwa. Kaakati waliwo ebintu ebitasonyiibwa. Kati mulaba wedda discussion bwenyuma nga twogera ku balala, kati nkireese mu nnyumba yo. Kati nkireese mu nnyumba yo. Kubanga wedda binyuma era obwedda twogera nga biri
okulumba.
Kati nnumba good. Kakati munansonyiwa oba temunsonyiwa? Kakati kyetugamba kikino nti bintu kimuggwe ebyaddala by'otasobola kusonyiwa. Ekyokulabirako, nze kamwa koogera, simanyi oba nsobola okusonyiwa omukyala ayenze. Naye nze njagala omukyala ne Katonda bansonyiwe bwe nnyenda. Ate gwe Precious, your hand is up briefly.
Okay, thank you. Well, for me, I would say there's no sin I wouldn't forgive. Although I cannot say that I have the ability to do that. So I rely on that, basing on the fact that the one in me forgives unconditionally, implying there is no anything that I cannot forgive, but only when he has empowered me to do so. Thank you.
Kakati abantu bangi bagamba nti okusonyiwa kya bwa Katonda era Katonda alina okutuwa ekisa ky'okusonyiwa. Abantu abo batuufu. Naye njagala kubalabula. Tulekeraawo okukweka obutasonyiwa bwaffe mu mugongo gwa Katonda asonyiwa. Kubanga ye Gracious agamba nti munze mu butuufu tewaliwo kintu kye sitasobola kusonyiwa, naye ne bwe kiba kizze era n'okwo okusonyiwa kwensonyiwa nakwo si kwange. Katonda ali munze yansobozesa okusonyiwa. Kati leka tubuze ekibuuzo. Abatasonyiye Katonda tabasobozesezza kusonyiwa. Ekyo kyempita okukweka obutasonyiwa bwaffe mu Katonda. Kugamba bwe sisonyiwe bananjagala muntegeere bulungi, sigaanye kusonyiwa muntu oyo. Naye Katonda takimpadde. Buli we tufuula okusonyiwa enneema turisikinga abantu bangi okwekweka mu ekyo. Leka tusooke ffe twenyigirize ng'abantu. Bintu ki by'otasobola kusonyiwa? Nze ekyange nkibawadde. Nze mukazi wange ng'ayenze sijja kumusonyiwa. Muli mpulira tekiriimu sijja. Okiwulidde ekyo? Ate gwe ng'oyenze mukulu wa Isaiah. Kakati nze nga nnyenze nandiyagadde g'amazima Katonda ne mukyala wange bansonyiwa. Nyina abantu benfaanagana oba ndi nzekka mu nsi yammwe nga nabagwako bugwe.
Omukulu munnange nange omukyala okwo okunkiitingako sikirootangako okumusonyiwa. Era bwe musonyiwa awo wentegeerera nti siyinza amusonyiye. That's what I can give.
Exactly. Okusinziira kwa Liyongo, oli mulwadde oli zonto totegeera.
Era munaye si asoose abangi munaye bampise zonto simanyi lwaki naddala guno omwaka.
Kuba Liyongo tayise gwe exactly yadda wakyakulabirako. Saagala kubatamu.
Nze engeri gye ndi omulamu sigenda kwogera ku nsonga eyo.
Ani mu full blood.
Listening post Jethro message ogirabe ya listening post.
Olaba Musumba. Bwe tubeera tujjanjaba abalwadde baffe eyo. Bwe tutuuka mu mental health kwe tutegeera nti omulwadde atandise okuwona nga atandise otegeera nti actually mulwadde.
We mutegeerera.
Kati tumanya ati atandise okuwona naye buli omulwadde waba agamba nti nze siri mulwadde. Takitegeeza oyo akyali mulwadde yeetaagira ddala eddwaliro.
So bintu ki mu ggwe kyenjagala ojje mweno fellowship ne mweno conversation ye ggwe nga ggwe to do a self reflection. Gwe kennyini weetuleemu gali naye ddala bintu ki bye sitasobola kusonyiwa. Bw'omala okubirisitinga kati weeteeke ku sayidi eri eyaabyo kati nga gw'oyagala okusonyiyibwa. Kuba lusaagaye nti basajja mwe mwewa eddembe mwagala tubasonyiwa obwenzi naye ffe temutusonyiwa. Oba waliwo ebibi nga by'abantu nga biriko bannyini byo nga ggwe bw'okikola y'ensonga lwaki tosonyiyibwa. Kubanga si kikyo. Anyway, njagala otuule gwe wekaweka weebuuza ebibuuzo bino. Bintu ki mu ggwe ddala by'owulira nga tosobola kusonyiwa? Ekyokulabirako, nnyina mukwano gwange taata we yakubagana n'ebizibu n'abazaala mu bakazi ab'enjawulo. Abakyala abo at a certain point ne babeera nga baliraaniganye. Abaana b'omukyalo omu ne bajja ne batta maama wa mukwano gwange ono. Okumuttira ddala. After some time ze n'akitegeera nti be baamutta n'abatuuza ddala era ne baatula ddala be baamutta. Abaamutta n'abazaalukuka. Naye baganda b'abassi n'abasigaza nga baana be. Baganda b'abassi omuli ne wisobbulowa, kubanga omu ku baana b'oli omukazi eyattwa maama w'ono ye yali wisobbulowa, okulaga nti bano baganda bange be batta omukyalo oli maama w'abano. Kati muzeeyi bambi abaana n'abasigaza bali n'abazaalukuka. Kati abaana b'ono omukyalo omugenzi omuli mukwano gwange beebuuza, omuntu atandikirawo okusonyiwa omuntu eyatta maama we, ate muganda w'omutemu ye omutunuulira otya? Tubeera mu kyaki, Mukama ajja kuwa amaanyi, Mukama agambye tusonyiwe, forgiveness is a command. Abasumba ne babuulira oteeka okusonyiwa, abalala ne bateekako atasonyiwa naye talisonyiibwa, wadde simanyi gye biri mu Bayibuli, naye okusonyiwa, tuteekwa okusonyiwa. Okitegedde, tuteekwa okusonyiwa. Nze njagala kubabuuza kibuuzo, mikwano gyange, omuntu eyatta maama wo otandika otya okumusonyiwa? Omuntu eyakuttira omwana ate ye omusonyiwa otya?
Kristo oba omaze okubuuza ssebo, mpeeyo ansa kange akatono. Kati omuntu eyakuttira omwana oba omukyala wo, that is something very big, I would think, the human mind. And the first thing I would do is actually to pray to God, give me the grace so that I'm able to do the right thing. Because the right thing is to forgive. But with my human capacity, I don't think I'm able to do that. So that's where I would pray to God to give me the grace and the power to do that which is His will, which is actually to forgive. And that's what I would do, sir. Thank you.
Musumba, buli bw'okola bw'otyo oba toli mu kudduka nsonga, mu Luzungu si kye bayita escapism.
Okola otya?
Okwebalamu obuvunaanyizibwa mu kino, kubanga okusonyiwa your appeal was nga tetunaba kuyita Katonda, ffe ng'abantu responsibility yaffe, roolo yaffe, ekitundu kyaffe kyekiriwa. Nawo dokita ye agamba akiddukamu, agamba ogenda wa Katonda.
Ye dokita kuva dda yeesibye ku Katonda, naye sirina kyamukolera, sijja kumumuggyako Katonda we. Naye njagala nnyo wano omukwano gwange Y13 CA agamba nti for some situations we cannot gauge what we are capable of forgiving until we experience it. Muwulidde oyo nti ebintu ebimu tosobola kumanya biki by'osobola kusonyiwa okutuusa ng'okituddemu. Naye kakati katuddeyo ku bantu abeekweka mu Katonda, kuba mwe abalokole n'abakristaayo mwekweka nnyo mu Katonda. Responsibility yammwe ng'abantu ne mugiteeka ebbali. Naye kino ekintu eky'okusonyiwa, Katonda waali era tagenda kuvaawo. Amiina abooluganda.
Amiina.
Naye kakati kino kati kikyo ne muntu munno gwe wasobya, ne muntu munne yakusobya, oba Katonda waali oba taliiwo. Tubadde tusaba osonyiwe omuntu eyatta maama wo. Kati ng'abuuza ntya. Kati osonyiwa otya omuntu eyakuttira omwana, omuntu yakuttira omukazi, omuntu yakuttira kitaawo bamuzaddewo nga yamutta. Kati obuzibu famire eno gye mbanyumizaako bwerimu nti muzeeyi bali abaana be yazaalukawo baagenda bateekera ebbali naye baganda baabali abatemu ate abali n'ewaka kati bano balina okugenda ewaka babeere ne baganda baabatemu oba olulimi lwekozesa mu luwulira kati buli omu yeewala kati ye muzeeyi akola atya ye kati muzeeyi lwaki ye asigadde ne baganda baabatemu lwaki abaana abo bonna tabazaalukuka naye lwaki abazaalukuka bano si be batta
anti kubanga ono whistleblower olukwe bwe lwali lulukibwa olw'okutta maama waabwe omuto whistleblower ddala teyamanya kubanga bw'abanga yamanya then naye wakuzaalukukwa kubanga ye information yagijjawa kati bino ebibuuzo mbibuuza ng'oli gwe batidde maama we struggle z'okusonyiwa obeera otya ne information nga information evudde mu bantu bo naye nga gw'ogirina wagifuna ddi wagifuna otya
kati aliyo ng'owunzika gendako ku sayidi y'abasonyiibwa gwe wandyagadde bakusonyiwe
ngenda kwemyutinga ssebo musumba
kale ssebo neeyanziza ssebo obuzibu tulina mu bulaba buno bwe buzibu tulina tuteekwa bwe tuba nga tuli ku sayidi esonyiwa abantu bagwanira okutuuka ku ebyo bye baatuusa ku bannaabwe naye buli otubeera nga tuli ku sayidi erina okusonyiibwa tugamba nti bannange tetwewozaako naye tusaba mutusonyiwe kati ekitegeeza okusonyiwa kintu kirungi era kibeera kibi nga gwe toli ku sayidi eri esonyiibwa naye buli ali ku sayidi ey'okusonyiibwa okusonyiibwa kintu kirungi era kintu kituufu era twagala batusonyiwa bagumiikirize bagezeeko nga bwe basobola
omwoyo abakwateko katonda abakwateko agonze emitima gyabwe
balokoke
ate muze katonda wange mwagambye mbadde mwesiryeko basajja mmwe
tumuzeeko ku levo ey'abasonyiibwa naye gwasonyiwa twagala olemenga kwekweka mu katonda ogambe nti mukama amaanyi ag'okusonyiwa tagampadde
anti nagambye wali nga ntandika nagambye omuntu okukkira omwana olw'omukyala nagambye ekyo ndaba kinene nnyo ku nze awo we naatandikidde ne ngamba ekyo ekinene nnyo omuntu gwe nsooka okuddukira eri before I go to the offenders ye katonda. Why? Because I would think in my human nature the heaviness of this kind of act, it wouldn't be easy for my human brain process and think of forgiving. But there are some petty things nga seetaaga na kubuuza katonda at all.
Ekitegeeza gwe okusonyiwa okutaddemu emitendera mulimu ebinene ebyo nga bigenda high court ewa katonda yajja okuyamba asonyiwa then mulimu ne bwenteeka okumaliriza.
Nze bwento bwe nkitwala waliwo obuntu obutono ng'oli mu banja mitwalo 5 nga mbutuufu esente zange zinduma naye ng'ate nga nkyayina emikono ekola ssente kati oyo omukoona kakasimu ne nga muganda wange akola bubi naye nkusonyiye. Then naye the other big thing which you said neetaaga osooka ne njogerako n'omunene nampa ku magezi.
Kale weebale nnyo. Weebale nnyo. Bassebo njagala kubabuuza eddakiika zaffe nga bwe ziggwayo njagala kubabuuza ekibuuzo. Abavubuka babiri mu Kampala wano be mumanyi obulungi abaasoma era abayigirize abataali baavu nga bo sigamba famire zaabwe. Omu yakolobola emmotoka ya munne. Bw'agikolobola omu n'afuluma n'emmundu n'amukuba essasi n'amutta. Okolobola emmotoka kyali kinene ekitasonyiika oba kyali kitono? Kati bw'oba oddamu weegendereza. Omusajja yakolobola emmotoka ya munne.
Lwaki otutiisatiisa mbu twegende?
Kakati gwe kinkoze bulungi. Gw'olina emmotoka. Gwe n'okugimenya nagimenya, simanyi lwaki tewankuba ssasi. Nzijjukidde n'okujjukira.
Lwakuba nali sirina mmundu, singa nalina emmundu.
Wamma nzijjukidde. Ensonga ki nawona? Kuba nzijjukidde emmotoka yo nagimenya. Gwe emmotoka yo atya Mukama yeebazibwe. Mu Uganda mulimu abavubuka seeti bbiri oba abasajja seeti bbiri. Seeti emu omu yakolobola emmotoka ya munne n'afuluma n'amubbirawo essasi. Seeti ey'okubiri omulala yamenya hando y'emmotoka ya munne, hando eggulawo n'agikuulayo kapa. Ne baddamu ne batuulamu emmotoka ne bagenda nga banyumye. Talina kyeyamukola. Kati bw'ogamba nti okolobola emmotoka tekissa muntu.
yalindako
Ogisebo.
Onzijukiza waliwo yatuula mu mmotoka yange nga mukwano gwange ddamu oba lukumu oba 2015 n'asika ka hando, nali nina kapajero kano kagundi ka wagoni, n'asika hando n'agikutula, namutunuulira nenza amaaso ku steering n'ensimbula, saanyumya naye paka gye twali tugenda.
Bwendagala mu enjawulo mukwano.
Simanyi oba namusonyiwa oba nedda simanyi.
Kakati gwe tewaddamu naye nze ndi bujulizi. Marion wangi bebe.
Mbadde ngamba waliwo okubeera nga fayina omukwano nga kweguli, naye ate nga waliwo n'omuntu okubeera n'omutima omugagga wadde nga talina nnyo, ate waliwo oli okubeera ng'ayina ennyo naye ng'omutima gwe mwavwe, like they hardly forgive. Kati one of the pairs yali ng'ayina naye ng'omutima gwe nga si mugagga. So nga lwaki yafuna obudde n'atta munne just for nnyinza okigamba just lwakuba yali ng'asobola okukizzaako naye ng'obulamu bwo tebasobola okubuzzaako. Ate the second pair fine baaliko n'omukwano naye nga besides omukwano n'omutima gw'omuntu gwali mugagga ng'alaba this is something that can easily be fixed other than spoiling our relationship.
Anti kakati Marion waliwo ebitasobola kubeera fix nga mukwano gwakutemako omukono. Ekyo tekisobola kubeera fix n'ekyo kyanukule.
Anti kakati tomuwa bibuuzo byakwanukula ng'omujja mu kyokulabirako mwabadde azimbira ensonga ye. Twala eri. Ye tukuwadde seeti bbiri, in fact kati waliwo ne seeti ey'okusatu. Omu teyaddamu kwogera na mukwano gwe ng'emmotoka ye erina kyagikutuddemu mpaka gye baatuuka gye balaga. Naye teyamufulumya mmotoka, naye teyaddamu kwogera naye. Oyo muganda wooli eyajjayo emmundu n'akuba oli essasi. Kakati waliwo seeti endala. Ye emmotoka ye baagikukuulayo hando. Ne batula mmotoka ne baddamu ne banyumya ne bagenda bulungi nnyo nga n'ebya hando tebabyogera. Nga banyumya ate nga n'oli naye si munnanfuusi. Kakati kino nkibaleetedde nga njageza kubalaga nti oluusi ebintu byoga nti kino kitono, kino kinene. Kisinziira ku muntu. Ngera kyengezaako okugamba abantu abalowooza nga Dr. Gracious. Lekerawo okugamba.
Tulumbiddwa banaye, sorry.
Network emuliddemu olukwe.
Ayingiddewo.
Genda musindikire message mututawaanya. Kati kwegamba si kyangu okugamba nti kino kinene bannange, kino tekisonyiikika. Kinene kwani? Gamba waliwo ekintu ekinene ekisonyiika n'ekintu ekinene ekitasonyiika n'ekintu ekitono ekisonyiika. Si kyangu bw'ogamba muno banaye waliyo ebitono, ekyo kitono. Ekyokulabirako omusajja yasanze omulenzi ne muwala we n'amukuba mpaka lwe yamusse. Kandi baga nti nedda ekyo tekissa mwana. Ekissa omwana kyekiriwa. Ekissa omwana kyekiriwa bano nno kimukitubulye kubanga waliwo nze abakazi bemanyi wano mu Uganda abaayokya abaana baabwe engalo ne babakutulako n'emikono nga babbye nusu 100. Nusu 100 n'otemako omwana engalo tekiri mu Uganda, temukijjukira mawulire. Now kati bwe kiba nga nusu 100 kitemyako omwana engalo ate okumusanga ne muwalawo lwaki kyo tekimussa? Now kinene oba kitono ffe twogera ku kusonyiwa. Bintu ki mu mutima gwo by'owulira by'otasobola kusonyiwa? ABC. Lwaki? Kubanga gwasonyiwa oba kubanga gwasonyiyibwa? Tosobola kubisonyiwa kubanga gwasonyiwa. Naye lw'olibeera nga gwa akisonyiyibwa ojja kubeera ng'olina obusobozi obukisonyiwa. Anaagala okutuwunzikira mu ddakiika ezisembayo 3 atubuulire kati ku Katonda oba ne ku experience ye.
Munayo mbadde njagala kuwaayo kirala naye ate your question is different, but example gye wawadde ya Jethro mbadde njagala kwogera ku abo babiri. Jethro who forgave and then another who cannot. So nze ndowooza kiba kisinziira ali mu bo, the one in them. If it is the true God that we know, Christ, their perception of life is different. So the other person may perceive a car as almost something equivalent to life. Katoyo bw'ogikolobola ajja kukuba amasasi. Then there's Jethro, who is a Christian and perceives life differently, sees a car as something that was manufactured and he can always buy another or even 100 of them because he can work and gain, but he cannot work and gain the life that he will have lost through shooting you. Okay. So I think it is about perception. Thank you so much. How we perceive life.
Kanyamunyu baakolobola emmotoka ye n'agaana okusonyiwa, yagikolobola n'amukuba essasi n'afa. Bwe wayitawo ebbanga Kanyamunyu n'ayambuka n'agenda eyo mu mambuka eyo gye baazaala omugenzi gwe yatta ng'agenze kusaba kusonyiwa kutta muntu. Ekyo mukiwulidde kye njogedde oba nkiddemu kuba njagala kuwunzika, njagala kubaleka mugende. Omusajja gwe bayita Kanyamunyu yagaana okusonyiwa munne yakolobola emmotoka ye n'amukuba essasi n'amutta. Ng'amaze okumutta nga wayisewo ebbanga n'ayambuka n'agenda engulu eyo gye bazaala omugenzi ng'agenze kusaba kusonyiyibwa kutta mugenzi. Gwe baasaba ekisonyiwo ky'okkulubula emmotoka n'akimma, yayambuka n'agenda asaba ekisonyiwo ky'okutta omuntu. Mukwano gwange abadde ampuliriza n'abadde ku kkoolo eno, ekisonyiwo ky'omma munno kitono nnyo ku ekyo kye weetaaga okuva eri Katonda singa obadde omanyi. Kyetuva tukusaba nti oweeyo ekisonyiwo ekitono bakuwe ekisonyiwo ekinene. Mukama abawe omukisa mubeere bulungi. Eno ebadde in truth and in spirit well of worship fellowship. Buli Monday tubeera ne fellowship bweti. Osobola okutwegattako ng'oyita ku nnamba zaffe ez'essimu mu abali ku TikTok. Osobola okgenda ku akawunti yange, ennamba yange kweri ya lukale n'otuwandiikira tukuwanga linki za Zoom zino n'otwegattako. Tubeera ne fellowship eno buli Monday okuva ku ssaawa 12 mpaka ssaawa 2 ne buli Thursday, era Thursday tujja kudda. Tukwegayire tusindikire ebibuuzo n'endowooza yo, tujja kukwanukula. Mukama abawe omukisa mubeere bulungi tulabagane ku Thursday.